Hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. Today I'm going to show you guys how to get sponsorships and what it's like on the other side of the sponsorship and what's the benefit of the company and the benefit of the creator. So I'm going to give you guys realities today, not fantasy, but through experience. If you guys don't know me, I'm Game from BusyWorksBeats.com. We trained over 1 million producers around the world. Some have gone to work with Drake, Kanye West, Post Malone, Ariana Grande, French Montana, Young Thug, Polo G, Trippie Redd, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, Glorilla. We have 3 confirmed Grammy winners, multiple platinum plaque winners. I work with one multi-trillion-dollar company, Apple, worth $4 trillion. I work with 5 billion-dollar companies. One is Suno, which is a $1 billion valuation. Razer Music, okay. Near Protocol, which is in Web3 for those who understand. Avid, who makes Pro Tools, and Sweetwater. So I've worked with billion and trillion-dollar company. And I could tell you, $1 billion companies and $1 trillion company, I could tell you guys that this formula works all of the time. So when it comes to sponsorships, the main key is leverage. That's the only thing you need to worry about. If you don't, there's no pitch deck, there's no formula, there's no tactic, there's no email you send off with the magic in it. If you don't have a leverage, you have nothing. What does that mean? Leverage means you have something that the other party wants, period. Okay, now most of us, what we have control over in this case in our businesses is the audience. And you don't own the audience, but you have a relationship with a bunch of people. Okay. Let's just call it relationships with people. Okay. Now these people, most of the time, are in the market for buying stuff from the companies you're trying to get a sponsorship from. So just because you have a ton of relationships in the tech community does not mean, you know, an audio company is going to go to you and try to talk to your audience, because their product doesn't even remotely look interesting, okay, as an audio company to a random tech audience who worries about AI and coding agents and things like that. So you have to have an audience that actually matches up with a sponsor. And here is the general leverage you guys gain, is simply having an audience. Now, more than just followers, okay, because here's where people get confused. Followers are a clear sign. Yes, this is a good signal to sponsors that you are somebody to actually follow, meaning people trust you enough to follow you. That is a good sign, because people could just watch your video and leave. So subscribers does actually reflect trust. However, in the modern markets, you also want to have what's called active viewers. Okay, so this would be your people who watched in the last 3 months, for example. You can even calculate all the way up to the year. We'll just say 3 months to 12 months to be safe here. Because I have, you know, videos that have done 5 million views, but they might have not have watched that video in like the last 2 years. So it's an irrelevant audience that doesn't still watch those videos, for example. Now you guys can get sponsorships on different platforms. The biggest ones I've seen are YouTube, Instagram. I haven't really seen so much on TikTok. People getting the attention of brands through TikTok. I'm sure it happens. However, you have to understand, again, the leverage that you have. So long story short, audience means your relationship with the people. Followers is a good signal. Active viewers is a better signal. Now here's the ultimate signal, is do you have your own customer base? This is the ultimate signal, because when you have a customer base, people who actually buy stuff from you, you signal a bunch of things. One is that your audience knows you. 2 is that your audience likes you. And 3 is that your audience trusts you enough to take out a hard-earned dollar out their pocket to give it to you. So having a customer base is your ultimate signal, because you can't fake that. You can't fake somebody taking a hard-earned dollar out your pocket. People can fake followers. They can fake views. You can, what's it called? Bolster up or booster up, whatever the word is, you know, using fake metrics all the time. So companies are looking for people with a customer base, because it also proves their concepts. It's a proof of concept, I'll say. Okay, because 99% of these people coming to you are trying to figure out if their product even works in the market, or they're trying to scale an existing proof of concept. So long story short, this is the what do you want to call it? The ladder, I guess, of importance when it comes to attracting sponsors. Notice I didn't say, you know, write this email to get sponsors. There's no email. If you're sending people emails, you're already working backwards, because you should have people coming to you. The point of having leverage is you are the bottleneck in somebody else's process. The only way for them to get past where they are in this process is to go through your brand. Okay. If you don't have that scenario set up, you are not going to be successful with sponsorships. Reaching out is not let's put it this way, reaching out without leverage is not smart. Okay. Reaching out and just saying, hey, I'll do a campaign for you, even though I have no following and I haven't proven that anybody's bought anything. And I don't even know if people who follow me buy anything or they're just tire kickers. Because we have to understand one thing. There's two types of audiences for the most part. You have people who, and I won't call them tire kickers because that's derogatory. We'll call them people who give out social digital currency. Okay. Now these are cool people to have around you, but I think people confuse this. So let me quickly get into the four components of online. So firstly, we have awareness, and let's rename this actually as something else. Let's call these spectators. Okay, so this is level one. This is where everybody starts here as a spectator. A spectator is just somebody who hits play on the video or somebody who's scrolling by and just happened to play your video by accident. Next, after this, you have what are called skeptics. Okay, skeptics, their job is to find ways to, what's the word here I'm looking for? I should have practiced my vocabulary before getting on this video. Disprove. Their goal is to disprove and look for flaw, okay, in your business model. Okay, that's what their job is to do. They're looking for inconsistencies. In other words, are you just a one-hit wonder, or are you somebody who consistently creates great content? Put it that way. So spectators, again, are people who view stuff. All they give you guys is a view. That's the only reward you get from these folks, just a view. The second is a skeptic. Okay, now these people offer views, sometimes comments, but that's not guaranteed. Now, skeptic, if they believe your journey and they believe that you're somebody to follow for value, then they'll become what's called a subscriber. Okay, now subscriber, here's where most people stop, level 3. Subscribers, their only currency with you, because again, they have to know you, like you, and trust you before they transact those hard-earned dollars. Okay, so there's 3 levels before you even get to a customer. And a subscriber, level 3, they give you views, comments, likes, and here's the magic one, shares. Okay. Skeptics are not necessarily going to share your stuff because they don't even know if your stuff is good. Why would they share with a friend, which can, the stuff can harm their friend? Spectators don't share because they're not paying attention to your brand. They don't have a resonant point enough to pay attention. So they're just on the outside. Skeptics, they're there to look more through your content with a fine tooth comb to see if you're consistent with your content. Subscribers say, okay, they've passed all my social proof tests. They've passed all my trust tests. I will subscribe and follow this journey. Now, here's the ultimate level. You want to get to the supporter level. Now, level 4 is when somebody takes out their hard-earned dollars. Okay, basically, for people who understand why I keep saying hard-earned dollars, it's because money literally represents life force. So when you give your money to somebody else, you're literally giving your life force over to that person. It represents survival. Okay, so if you don't give somebody enough value to make them believe that their life will become more fruitful, to extend their value in their life and increase their life value, then don't expect them to give up their life value to you. That's, so long story short, if you get somebody to the supporter level, that means you have proven that you will increase their value over time, which extends their life, their genetics. So now we understand these 4 layers. This is what you want to target, is a supporter. You don't want to just have followers and subscribers. That's, that is good. It's a trust signal, but you want to create what's called supporters, because supporters are the ones who are valuable to the brands. If you just have subscribers, then what happens on the back end is you may send people over to a website to go buy some product or whatever, but they don't have enough trust built in the entire ecosystem to even spend money. So let's put it this way. Let's say a company gives me $1,000 to make one video about whatever new software they have coming out. Okay, so they spend $1,000 on BusyWorks Beats, for example. And if I only had subscribers, people who just watch, view, comment, and like and share, they click on the link to go to the website, but they never buy anything. So now the company looks at it like a loss. They just lost a hard $1,000 just to be seen on BusyWorks Beats. Now it's a little bit better for them because they get likes, shares, and social proof. So that does help future buyers. But most companies are not in the game of buying social proof. They're in the game of buying customers. So if you don't have customers, you don't really have much leverage at all in this equation. So that's why I'm creating a distinguishing line between people who just watch stuff and people who buy stuff. People who have followers versus people who have customer bases. Now, what does a customer base consist of? You know, for BusyWorks Beats, for example, we have a Discord of 129 plus thousand. We're almost the number one in the world for music production. We're the fastest growing Discord for music production. All right, we're almost number one. We're this close. Okay, now we have an email list, a newer email list, which I'll show you guys. Hold on. So if I were to create a pitch deck for a company, I would show them my active email subscribers, 171,900. Let's just put 171,000 in this case, email subscribers. Now, most YouTubers don't know how to convert their YouTube viewers over to email subscribers. So simply just having an email list can increase your value to said brands. And again, it's not made up value. These are real tangible leads for a company. The goal of a company is to turn a lead into a customer. That's their number one goal. And if you build a product that is going to increase somebody's value in life, why wouldn't you tell them about the product? So marketing is essential to help people in this world. So we have the Discord, we have the email list. We also have a website. All right, I zoomed in to protect people's emails addresses, but we have 324,128 students on our new training platform. So let's add that to the list. So we have a training platform. Was the number 324,128, 324,128, 324,128. Okay, students on the platform. Okay. Now, does this mean everybody's active all the time? Not necessarily. Does it mean everybody's a paid student? Not necessarily. Okay, but we have 324,128 students on our platform. These are points of leverage. Then you talk about your YouTube and your other platforms. On YouTube, let me find my YouTube. All right, so another point of getting a sponsor is to present what's called social proof. So you want to gather all of your numbers across all the socials: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I'm just going to grab 3: YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. I haven't posted to TikTok and Instagram in a long time, but here we have on YouTube almost 2.6 million views on YouTube. We had 90 something thousand subscribers in the last 28 days. And then you could even show them audience breakdowns. It really doesn't, you don't need to get that granular with your audience, because again, these are just people viewing your stuff. This isn't necessarily your buyer profile. So going back here, you know, the platform, let's add to the list. I already had it, YouTube, and then we're going to put, I forgot to get the subscriber count. So currently we're at 1.6 million subscribers. I'm just going to put 1.6, just round up. 1.6 million subscribers. Okay, and then on TikTok. And also, I'd recommend you guys put your total views, excuse me, in this case. So let's do 2.6 million views in a month. Per month. Technically, it's 28 days, but whatever. And then we're going to get the total view count. Let me see if I can find that. All right, and then we see the total view count here, 241 million views just on YouTube. So let's add that to our social proof, 241 million views on YouTube. And again, we're an educational channel. This isn't like some drama channel where we're just creating entertainment videos and getting shock value views. These are actually valuable in terms of education. So 1.6 million views, 2.6 million views per month. And then what else should we add in here? Total views and then subscribers. We already did that. Okay. Now on Instagram, again, I haven't posted here in a long time. So it says 300,000 views, but on our last post where I just posted like 3 clips recently, 3 reels, the last one got 115,000 views on it. So that's more of our modern number. So we were sitting at 500,000 views not so long ago. So I'm pretty sure it's closer to that. And all right, so that's all we need for the Instagram. And then TikTok, you guys can look at your last 90 days. It would be better if these platforms gave us more information, like how many views we got lifetime and 6 months. But that's why I said these platforms are built to just keep short-term attention. They're not built for long-term attention like a YouTube is. So these numbers fade really quickly. So anyhow, this is at about 700,000. So let's add that. And then we need to count on TikTok how many followers we have. So we have 92,000 followers, 1.5 million likes. So TikTok is a little bit backwards in how they calculate stuff. So let's just use a follower count, because the reason we're adding this is it is a little bit vain in terms of what it is, but companies use this to talk to their employees and also talk to the public. They'll say BusyWorks Beats with a total of 2 million followers or whatever. That's how they communicate to the people who are spectics or, you know, spectators. Okay, so it is a little vain to us, but it's a way to communicate trust to an unknowing audience. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, and then 1.5 million likes, which means, okay, 1.5 million likes, boom. And then we have IG, Instagram. All right, so this is building our customer profile. In all of these areas exist customers, and what we present to them, they're either going to like something or not. Okay. So when we present this information to the audio companies, this is concrete data, okay, information. It's not us saying, hey, we have a bunch of random people who follow us. It's saying they followed us here, 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 and here, because we're building a community and a tribe. This is more than just people who watch the video and click the button. This is like an actual tribal community. Okay. And that's what you have to prove. You can't talk about it. You have to prove it to these companies. And let's say Instagram here. Now I've seen people do deals without a gazillion followers, but that's when that's when these companies get lackluster results, is when they start picking people based off of vanity. Like, what does this girl look like? Or how does this guy talk? When it has nothing to do with like actual results, that's when companies get in hot water, when they start going after content creators. So I'm sure you guys have seen tons of girls in advertisements, which is great for them. I hope they get more and more business. Now, and I don't mean girls in general, I'm just saying in this specific space, we have a very small like girl population. So when you see girls in advertisements, they may have way less followers than you, but they've earned that position because of, they just stand out. And the issue, however, is if the company expects this content creator to just build all this trust out of this one ad and this one campaign, and they get nothing out of it, basically no buyers, then it kind of hurts everybody else. So I think this video is going to be good for the audio companies and the content creators who are seeking these audio companies, because again, you want to pick, the content creators who have the results, who get results, not just the people who look flashy. That doesn't sell stuff. Flash does not sell stuff. It makes it more enticing to look at, but it does not sell stuff. Okay. So there's a very fine line. Okay. Now here, let me show you guys a pitch deck that I used. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but just look at the common themes here. So this was a pitch deck from, I think, 2019 when I approached Razer Music. I was on their campaign longer than Murder Beats, Metro Boomin, Anderson .Paak, Dead Mouse, Sunny Digital. I was on there for 3 years, and I don't think those guys were on for even 2 years each. Okay. So this is the pitch deck into the 3rd year, basically. So I was on working with Razer for 2 years at the time. And my connection at Razer left and worked with a whole different company called Weedmaps. And I was like, dang, Kevin went to Weedmaps. Who do I know at Razer? I didn't know anybody. The names were like Chinese names. I didn't even know how to like pronounce them. And I did a cold pitch. Okay. So basically this is the equivalent of me going in cold, because I didn't know anybody at the company at this time, but I did have proof. That's why I said this works. I pitched $1 billion brand on a sponsorship deal. So long story short, I just said who I am, my work alongside these other top companies. Like I said, I've worked with the top audio companies in our space: Arturia, Akai, Serato, Universal Audio, Image Line, Razer Music. You guys can name the company. I probably did something with them, who are like the big companies. Okay. And then basically I was, I guess I got to go on this side. Basically, I was just showing them our cultural significance. These are real events with real people who came out to see us. There's Simon Servita right here. There's me right here. I know you guys probably can't see. You might have to zoom in. Here's Clifton from Battle of the Beatmakers. And, we were adding value to people in Toronto. Okay. At Imstafesta. Shout out to Ray too for putting this all together. Here's a Cymatics event, for example. We had like 200 to 400 people at this event coming to listen to us live speak. It was me, Jay Black, and Triz on the track. And, people show love. And that's me taking a selfie, with everybody who was there. That was a really good energy crowd, I got to say. Shout out to them. And then I go into how this mechanism, how my system works. How do the results get created? Basically, it's just hyper-focused. It's sending all of our traffic to one place, measuring that one place, and amplifying that. That's basically what it comes down to. It's just focus and cross-platform promotion, basically. We talked about how their products can expand, the products that I would love to show off. Okay. We talked about why they should choose us. I show more social proof. Me and Sweetwater, me and Young Guru. Shout out to Young Guru. He said his son, I think, watched me back then. Shout out to Young Guru. Now he's studying all types of stuff. He's super tall, by the way. What is this? One of my videos broke YouTube's like measurements. Okay. It just got so popular that it just broke the measurements. So this is one of my like fastest growing videos ever. In the first 3 days, it got 130 something thousand views on it. Then I'm just showing people my YouTube stats. Here I'm in a studio with 5 producers, and I think combined they had a streaming count of 10 billion streams. Here I'm on the, what do you call it, marquee for talking with Universal Audio. So I'm just showing proof. I've worked with Razer before. Here's me on the website. Here's deadmau5 up here, Metro Boomin over here. The other years they had Sunny Digital, they had Anderson .Paak, they had Murder Beats. Okay, that was after me and Metro's and deadmau5's initial campaign with them. Now, was I talking to Metro every day during this campaign? No, I don't want to make it seem like we were best friends over that campaign. But shout out to Metro. Noisia. Here's me and the CEO of Razer right here. Okay, who runs $1 billion company. Okay, here's me and Eric Persing, who runs Omnisphere. So notice all the social proof. I'm showing real results. I'm showing key people. I'm showing that I actually am a person who creates value for people. That's the main thing here. Then I give them it's called a risk reversal. Okay. And then I give them a proposal. Okay. So that is how I structured that specific pitch deck. Modern day pitch decks for me are just more simple and just straight to the point. I'm less about like trying to win people through a PowerPoint. So let me see what else I got to show you guys, but let's switch screens here. So now that we understand what leverage actually is, let's just call this leverage. Okay. All the stuff on the left side is leverage. All right. So this is leverage. Everything on this side is leverage. Now, here are the types of sponsorships you want to understand. One is, this is the most common on YouTube, especially in the music production space. It's called an in-kind sponsorship. In other words, they're going to give a content creator an NFR, which means a not for retail version of software, or they're going to give them a hardware piece. I think they call them like demo units or something like this. I forget what they call it. They're going to send them a unit on loan, basically. In short, this is called an in-kind sponsorship. Basically, here's the deal. Companies are exchanging. Let's make this bigger. Companies give free gear / plugins, and the content creator create content. Okay, it's that simple. That is usually how most sponsorships go down in the music production space. Now, my argument to a lot of content creators is your value is way higher than an in-kind sponsorship. Okay, this is basically slavery. Okay, because you are creating thousands and tens of thousands of dollars for these companies. I understand when they send you a unit, we think, oh man, they spent $3,000 on this unit to send it to us, and we want to do good by them and add more value. But understand the value you add back supersedes their value times 10. Okay, so it's just not a fair exchange. Now, the next type of sponsorship is a cash sponsorship. Now, this is usually aimed at people who are more junior, because people are using cash as a risk reversal. I know this sounds complicated, so let's just keep it simple. Cash is basically used on smaller content creators. Okay, because in America, if you pay people less than 600, you don't even have to do paperwork with them. So that's why cash is just like, if they run off with it, it's digital cash. You could go to a bank and get it back. Whereas a unit, you can't really chase somebody down for a unit that you sent out. Okay, it's not the same thing. So cash is almost like, it means they don't trust you that much, but you can also get a lot of cash as well from companies. But I'll explain it. Okay, so content creators, what do they give out? They give out the content. Okay, now the audio companies, they're going to give out the cash in this case. Okay, so fair exchange, they give you a flat fee, you give them content. Now, here's the problem, in my opinion, with cash sponsorship is that, let's say a company pays you $500 for one video. Okay, now that one video, let's say the value of the video equals, and you have to map this out over time, LTV. So let's say for the first 6 months, let's say you generate $15,000 for that company. So that company took $500 and multiplied it to 15,000. I don't know any stock. I don't know any Facebook ad that can multiply money times what, 3, was that 30? That's 30x ROI if I did my math right. 30x. Let me do some math real quick, make sure that's right. So let's pull up a calculator. 500 times 30 equals 15,000. That's 30x. Okay. Name one thing in the chat below that can give you 30x return anywhere on planet Earth, including your own meta ads. 30x. That's the problem that I have with, audio companies it seems like they're doing good because they're giving content creators cash, but the content creators don't have the data on the back end to understand that one video over 6 months time basically returned 30 times the cash that they gave them. I just don't think that's a fair split. Okay. And this is why when you guys do get the information on how your videos actually create results, and that's why you want to have a customer base, because with a customer base, when you create real results, people actually buying stuff that they actually like, you can now go back to the company and say, well, my video that you gave me $500 for last time created you guys $15,000 worth of value, according to this much traffic that I sent, according to the conversion rate being this. And you can even estimate the stuff. You don't necessarily need to get their accounting books and all that. You can literally just estimate it and say, okay, if I sent you 100,000 people to your website, let's just say you sent them 10 million people to the website. That's a lot of people. Let's say 1 million actually click on the link over 6 months. Okay. So 1 million actual clicks. Let's say it converts at 1%. That's 10,000 people. So 10,000 people clicked over, 1 million people went to the website. And if you have 1% buying, okay, then that means 10,000 potential buyers. That's at a 1% conversion. Let's just say if it's even 0.1, meaning we're going to take off another 0. So that's just 1,000 buyers. Well, it's called your average transaction value on your website, assuming that it's a software company that has infinite scale, they call them COGS or cost of goods. Your average transaction value is $100. So for the 1,000, even if you mark this down to 1,000 people that bought, okay, that's 1,000 times $100 equals $100,000 of value to that company. And this is with this math. You have to measure how many clicks. So it depends on how many views you get and how many people you actually send over. But you guys can track, if people click your links, you could track that. Even if you track it with Bitly, the old school Bitly, bit.ly, you can see how many people click the link. And why is that important? Because if you know that, 10 million people watched your videos and 1 million clicked that link, you could start doing this estimated math and say, okay, well, if we sent 1 million views over to their website, the clicks to their website, and that generated an estimated of 100,000, well, I want my 30%. How's that not fair to give them 30% up front? Okay, for however many videos it took. Now, one video is not going to do that unless it's like a super viral video. I don't want to sit here and create fantasy scenarios. Getting 1 million clicks of anything is very difficult. That's going to take, we can go into the deep math of it all, but my point is you can estimate this stuff, even if the company does not give you numbers. So the long story shorter is you're going to charge them 30% of the LTV that they get over about 6 months of time. That's your fee. Okay. That becomes your fee. Now, I'm not saying companies pay this straight up front. You could even have installment payments, or you could have conditional payments. There's a lot of terms and stuff you can get into. Now, here's one thing that I'll give you guys like quick advice is if a company makes you sign an NDA, that's a sign that it's about to just be annoying. I could just tell you guys, especially an audio company, software company, if they have you sign an NDA, chances are you are wasting your time. Okay. Another kind of key to understanding if you're wasting your time with these companies, needs to drink some water, sorry, is if they don't reciprocate, okay? No reciprocity. Now, the reason this is so huge is because think about what content creators do for these companies. They make a video for them. They put it all over their social. They put it onto their Discord. They send out the emails. They do all this distribution for the company just for a free device or a free piece of gear. Okay. They're getting like tens of thousands of dollars worth of distribution that they would have to pay Meta many tens of thousands of dollars for. Okay. And I can calculate that on paper. So when you see a company ask you guys to do something and share their stuff and then ask them, hey, will you share this video that I make of your company? Will you talk about my products? Will you do a blog post? Are you going to do anything on your socials? Social post, social collab post? Okay, to show that we're working together, or are they just going to use your thing and you get nothing out of it? That's a number one sign to run. I can tell you guys 1 million times over, companies who do not reciprocate in the beginning, do not reciprocate in the end. There's 0 point and continuing with the business relationship. Because think about it this way, they come to you when they want to launch something and you're supposed to be just receptive. But when it's time for you to talk about your product, they go ghost. That's not a good sign. That's the equivalent, if I had to like make this a dating analogy, on Instagram for guys who are into dating. You know, it's like you dating a girl and she'd never put you on her page. She doesn't even acknowledge you. The best she'll do is like, you know how girls put, this is funny, I got to go full screen with this one. You know how they'll like at dinner and then all you see is the guy's wrist and a watch. That you don't want to be that guy. Okay, you don't want to be that guy with the audio companies. Not acknowledged, not, you know, because you have to get something out of it. If it's not money, it needs to be acknowledgement. It needs to be social proof. It needs to be that you're getting credibility because you're working with billion-dollar companies and multi-million-dollar companies. So you get added to your resume. So I'm just adding little tidbits of advice just so you guys don't waste your time. So NDAs are BS in this industry. There's no need to be signing an NDA for anything. I don't care. I don't care if it's the next nuclear fission plugin that has AI in it. Unless you work for the company, why are you signing an NDA? You know what NDAs are for? NDAs are for girls who go to like billionaires' house, and billionaires do crazy stuff. Okay, trust me, y'all. And they make girls sign NDAs over the house because they don't want to get blamed for any of the crazy stuff that happens, whether that's illicit activities or whether it's whatever. Okay, that's what NDAs are for. So why are you signing an NDA with an audio company? Again, if they're giving you a lot of friction up front, chances are it's not going to be good. Now, another thing to run from is when they are overly, what's the word? Let me think of a word for it. Overly parental. I'm sure there's a better word for it. But be careful with the companies who are overly parental. And what I mean by this is they always want to control when you put up a video, how to edit the video, go back and edit this, do this. It's like, you guys got to realize a lot of the people giving you guys commands are not content creators. They don't know what works. So why are you taking advice from somebody who's never gotten the results before? Pointless. Okay. If they can't understand that they came to you because you know what you're doing, then they chose the wrong person. And trust me, guys, it is a lot more prudent to walk away from the company because that actually gives you more leverage. Then they have to come back to you if they want the results. See how that builds leverage? So don't be afraid to say no. That's how I worked with a $1 trillion company, Apple. Okay, it's how I work with multi-billion-dollar companies. I hope you guys understand a $1 trillion company is 1,000 billions. And Apple has 4 of those trillions. So I've worked with one company worth 4,000 billions. Just think about that for a second. Okay, and multi-billion-dollar companies. So these are, maybe we should put the you know what we should put down here? The red flag emoji. Let's put the red flag emoji. Let me make a little, I don't have emojis on here, so I gotta, hold on, y'all, let me do this manually. All right, so here are the red flags down here. I wish I knew how to like use this tool a little bit better. I'd create like a little box around it. Let's create like a little box. There we go. And let's make the box red, just so you guys know that it's red flags. So these are the red flags, okay? So I gave you guys pretty much the gist of sponsorships. Again, if you have to go to companies, make sure you have leverage in hand. One of these things on the left side. Companies should be coming to you. You should make it very easy for companies to come to you. What I recommend you guys do is get a company email, okay? Not just Gmail, which is fine to have Gmail, but you know, you want to present yourself a little bit more professional by having a, you know, info@company.com. Okay. One of those emails. You guys can sign up to Google Workspace to get your company email. It's very easy. Another tip is to don't give them the videos before payment. Never give assets before payment ever. Because the moment you give up the assets, now you're waiting on the net 30, net 90, net 60, all that bullcrap. Don't do it. Okay. And if a company's paying net 30 and net 60, you're working backwards, y'all. You shouldn't have to worry about payables and receivables, or receivables in this case. So if you're looking at a sponsorship deal where they're talking about net 30s and net 60s, that's because they don't have enough cash flow to pay you up front. So they're waiting for the results from your campaign. It's better that you take a smaller fee up front, prove your results, and get paid what you want up front than to be waiting and just waiting and waiting. It's a waste of time. Okay. Now, what else can I give you guys as a tidbit on sponsorships? So we talked about in-kind sponsorships. We talked about cash sponsorships. Those are really the main two deals. And Yeah, let me think on this for a second. Here's the final lesson that I'll kind of leave off on, just so it really sticks with you guys, your value. Okay. So just so you guys understand, let me go to my Facebook campaign real quick. All right. So here's an example from a few like lines of a greater campaign structure on Meta ads, just so you guys understand your value. So Meta is where most companies go to get traffic. And the reason these companies are coming to you, okay, as a content creator, is because they need traffic, people to go to their website. So just understand what these companies would have to pay Facebook, which is, again, where most people go to buy traffic. But the issue is when they go to Meta, they're buying what's called cold traffic, meaning people don't know them from a hole in the wall. Even if they do, they don't know them, like them, and trust them that much. So they're buying the worst traffic on the planet, which is cold traffic most of the time. And that's why content creators are so special and unique. Okay, so I just want to show you guys the costs. Now, this is a difference between cold traffic versus more trusted traffic. Okay, it's a 3x cost difference. Okay, so the first one is more of a cold audience for those who understand what I'm talking about. And I'm spending almost 50 cents per click. And this is just on a couple lines of the ad campaigns, whatever. So here we have 50 cents per click. That's just to get people to your website. Click. Okay. So let's do a hypothetical scenario just so you guys understand what I'm talking about and your value as a creator. So let's use some math to understand this. So let's say your video on YouTube does 10,000 views in the first day. And again, let's use really conservative measurements. And let's say 1% of these people clicked your link in your video description, which is a very, 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 very conservative amount. Okay, so 1% of 10,000, let's multiply that out. 1, 2, 3 times 0.01 gives us 100. So that means 100 people have clicked the website. Now, this is not normal traffic. Okay. This is people who know you, like you, and trust you. So this is called endorsed traffic. This is the highest form of traffic. It's better than cold traffic, which is what people buy on Facebook. It's better than warm traffic, which is people who know you and like you, but they don't trust you like that. Endorsed traffic is you trust someone so much that you'll trust their leadership for the next step, even though you don't understand the consequences of the next step. That's called endorsed traffic, the highest value traffic on the planet Earth. So those people, let's say they get 100 clicks, and that would be worth what, 50 cents times 100. Let's do that math real quick. 50 cents times 100, that's worth $50 just on the first day of you posting. Okay, this is assuming that nobody bought anything. This is what it would cost these folks to get people to their actual website if they paid on Meta. Okay, so this is Meta cold traffic. Now, like I said, cold traffic means you have a higher chance that people will not transact. Okay, they're just viewing your website. That's $50 just to get 100 people to view your website. Costs $50. Just to get 100 people to view your website is $100, or excuse me, is $50. So imagine when you guys have a high trust and the audience has a high affinity, that means the percentage of people who actually click the link is only way higher than this. And this is why I think it's so unfair for these companies to basically rob you guys of your value. They're trying to get around paying Facebook, but they don't want to pay the creators their just due. And that's the part that once you understand this greater structure, you'll understand you're probably being robbed as a content creator, assuming you create value for these companies though. Okay. So this is, again, $50 per 100 people that go to the website. Okay. So that's the math. Now, when we're talking about trusted audience, you can multiply that times 3 at least. So that means 150. It would cost them $150, okay, to get 100 people to their website. So that's just to click on a link. That's not to buy anything. But the odds are the people who are more, who like us, trust us, and know, like, and trust us, they're more likely to transact. Whereas people who don't know us from a hole in the wall, but they like what we're doing, it's a lesser chance they'll transact. So basically what I'm saying is the reason we're paying 50 cents for this first person that click on the link is because they're a colder audience. The reason we're paying $150 for this next click is because they're much warmed up audience, meaning people who have done transactions with us over time and already done business transactions with us. So we've already had a transactional history of trust. That's why this costs 3 times as much and gets 10 times less traffic, but it's worth 20 times more. Okay, so that's the math, y'all. I just want you guys to understand your value in this case. And, I'm not telling people to stay away from in-kind sponsorships, but the question becomes, is the company reciprocating? It goes back to these red flags at the bottom here. If they're not reciprocating, if they're not sharing the video, if they're not talking about your products, if they're not doing social collab posts, then what are you doing in-kind sponsorships for? Unless you truly just want the gear and plug in and you could care less. Okay, but we have to remember, as a producer community, the deals we take affect the other people as well. So you don't want to undercut everybody at the cost of everybody's future as well. I'm not telling people what to do, but results speak for themselves. And hopefully this was comprehensive enough. If you guys are confused, just leave the comments below and I'll elaborate on that specific thing. Hopefully I made this very clear. As to the science behind sponsorships, it's not just this made up number. It's not this made up thing. It's concrete evidence and why you charge what you charge. If I can get a company in front of 1 million people, that has an actual dollar value based on an estimation of traffic. Okay. And if you compare it to Meta campaigns, that's where you really seal the deal, because I can go to a company, hey, you want 1 million people on your website. Well, that's going to take, let's just make it realistic. Let's say they want 100,000 visitors on the website, 100,000 clicks. Well, I go, okay, that would cost you, let's do the math. Even if it was cold traffic, let's use the lower number. So let's say they spent 50 cents to get 100,000 people on their website. That would cost them $47,000. I go, okay, instead of company spending $47,000, which is somebody's salary for the company, how about you give the content creator 30% of this? So 47,123 times 0.3. Okay, 14,000. And if they're too insecure to give up 14,000 up front, then you do a cash advance and then you do payments over time based on results. Okay, you have to give the content creator some leverage here. Okay, and why do you charge 30%? It's because you're charging them less money than Meta. Okay, so you're being competitive in terms of price, and also your trust factor is higher. So the value of the actual person going to the website is even higher. So not only are you charging them less than the less fee they would pay on Meta, you also give them 3 times higher trust. Okay, in terms of the audience going to their website. That is why you guys are worth so much. And I'm tired of these companies manipulating you guys and taking advantage of you guys. So hopefully you guys take this information and run with it. Hopefully the audio companies work better with the content creators out there and stop treating them just like disposable things. And if you guys as audio companies need help, I've been in the trenches. I've known pretty much everybody in this space. If you want to invest your money to get your money basically back, then you need to go to people who are in the trenches, like myself, for example. Okay. And I don't always make the content. Sometimes I pass the deals to people around me. So instead of me doing the video, I'll say, hey, content creator number 1, would you like to do a video? I have audio company number 1 here, and they're trying to promote X, Y, and Z. If they say yeah, then they get the opportunity to push it. Still gets the reach. But the main thing is that we are connecting the dots. Okay. So that's what I do behind the scenes. I just wanted to make this very clear for the audience here. And again, hopefully I covered everything. I probably forgot some stuff, but let me know in the comments below, y'all. Share with a friend. Peace.